the shimmering facade of Coral Vista Marine Park, a place where dreams danced with dolphins, or so it seemed. But behind the smiles and orchestrated splashes, a tragedy was brewing, a slow burn fueled by ambition and neglect. To understand it, we need to meet the key players: Sophie Lane, the dedicated trainer; Aries, the captivating Orca; and the park itself, a stage set for both wonder and, ultimately, despair. Coral Vista, nestled on the sunny shores of Southern California, wasn't just a marine park. It was an empire. Millions of gallons of meticulously maintained seawater. State-of-the-art facilities, at least, according to the brochures. And a cast of charismatic creatures promised an unforgettable experience. Families flocked from across the globe, eager to witness the spectacle of marine life performing dazzling feats. And for years, Coral Vista delivered, raking in profits and accolades along the way. But the relentless pursuit of bigger shows, brighter lights, and bolder stunts masked a growing darkness beneath the surface. Enter Sophie Lane, at 29. Sophie wasn't your typical animal trainer. Sure, she possessed the requisite skills, a command presence, an encyclopedic knowledge of marine biology, and an unwavering commitment to the show. But beneath the wetsuit and the practiced smile lay a deep empathy, a profound connection with the animals under her care. She saw beyond the tricks, beyond the entertainment value. She saw individuals, each with their own unique personalities, needs, and, yes, limitations. Sophie had dedicated her life to marine life, volunteering at rescue centers as a teen and earning a degree in marine biology before landing her dream job at Coral Vista. She wasn't naive. She understood the realities of captivity, but she believed, perhaps idealistically, that she could make a difference, that she could advocate for the well-being of the animals while still contributing to the park's mission. She poured her heart and soul into her work, arriving before dawn and staying late into the night, meticulously monitoring the animals' health, behavior, and emotional state. And then there was Aries, magnificent, intelligent, and breathtakingly powerful. Aries was the undisputed star of Coral Vista. A resident Orca, Aries had been at the park since she was a calf. For years, she had captivated audiences with her grace, her agility, and her apparent enthusiasm for performing. She was the face of Coral Vista, adorning posters, merchandise, and television commercials. To the public, Aries was the epitome of aquatic perfection, a symbol of the harmonious relationship between humans and marine life. But behind the captivating smile and the carefully choreographed routines, Aries was struggling. The relentless demands of the show, the constant confinement, and the artificial environment were taking their toll. Sophie noticed the subtle signs first: a decreased appetite, a reluctance to engage in play, and a general listlessness that contradicted Aries' normally vibrant personality. The sparkle in her eyes, once bright with curiosity, began to dim. The shows themselves were increasingly demanding. More jumps, more synchronized movements, higher stakes, for a higher payoff. More and more people attended, and more pressure was heaped on both Sophie and Aries. It wasn't just the physical strain, it was the mental toll. Orcas are highly intelligent, social creatures with complex emotional lives. They thrive in the vastness of the ocean, communicating with their pod, hunting for food, and exploring their surroundings. In captivity, those fundamental needs were being systematically denied. Sophie voiced her concerns repeatedly to the park's management. She documented Aries's deteriorating condition in detailed reports, citing specific instances of unusual behavior and recommending a reduced workload. She pleaded for more enrichment activities, for more opportunities for Aries to engage in natural behaviors, for a break from the grueling performance schedule. But her concerns were largely dismissed. Victor Hale, the park's operations manager, was primarily concerned with the bottom line. Sold-out shows meant revenue, and revenue was all that mattered. Aries was a valuable asset, and any disruption to her performance schedule was seen as a threat to the park's financial stability. Victor viewed Sophie's concerns as an inconvenience, a distraction from the more pressing matters of marketing campaigns and ticket sales. He'd nod politely during their meetings, offer empty platitudes about animal welfare, and then promptly ignore her recommendations. He even suggested, on more than one occasion, that Sophie was being too sensitive, that she needed to toughen up and focus on the needs of the park, not the whims of a dolphin. The subtle warning was clear: question the system and your job is at risk. And so, Sophie found herself caught in a difficult position, torn between her loyalty to the park and her unwavering commitment to Aries's well-being. She tried to balance the demands of the show with the needs of the animal, but it was an increasingly difficult tightrope to walk. The warning signs were there, clear as day, but they were ignored, dismissed, and ultimately, tragically, silenced. The machine of Coral Vista, its gears greased with money and ambition, was grinding forward, oblivious to the cracks forming in its foundation. The dream was turning into a nightmare, and Sophie, along with Aries, was trapped inside. The tragedy wasn't just an accident. It was a consequence, a direct result of a system that prioritized profit over compassion, spectacle over substance, and silence over truth. And the consequences would be devastating. The stage was set, quite literally. A backdrop of fabricated paradise, painted waves frozen in perpetual crests. Cheerful music, the kind that burrows into your brain and stays there long after you've left, filled the air. The crowd, a sea of expectant faces, buzzed with anticipation. It was a typical show day at Coral Vista Marine Park. But behind the scenes, the carefully constructed facade was already beginning to crack. Sophie Lane moved, with a practiced grace running through the pre-show checks, but her eyes held a shadow of concern. Aries wasn't herself. She was listless, unresponsive, a far cry from the energetic performer the audience was about to see. Sophie had raised her concerns, documented the changes, but her pleas had been met with the cold, hard wall of corporate indifference. Sold out shows, Sophie, sold out shows, was all she'd heard from Victor Hale, the park's operations manager. The mantra of profit over well-dash being dot. The show began, a dazzling display of aquatic acrobatics. Dolphins leaped, twirled, and danced in seemingly perfect synchronicity with their trainers. Sophie, despite her apprehension, played her part. She smiled, gestured, and offered words of encouragement, all while her heart hammered with a growing sense of dread. Aries, fueled by the earlier stimulant injection, a decision that still made Sophie's stomach churn, managed to execute the routine. But with a forced mechanical precision, the spark was gone, replaced by a vacant compliance. The crowd roared with applause, oblivious to the silent struggle unfolding beneath the surface. They saw only the spectacle, the illusion of harmony between humans and animals. They didn't see the exhaustion etched on Aries's face, the subtle hesitations, the unnatural stiffness in her movements. Sophie saw it all. Every missed cue, every faltered jump, every strained breath. She knew Aries was pushing herself beyond her limits, and she felt a knot of guilt tighten in her chest. As the show progressed, Aries' performance became increasingly erratic. She missed a hoop jump, splashed awkwardly during a synchronized swim, and lingered too long at the edge of the pool, as if searching for an escape. The music swelled, the lights intensified, but the energy in the tank was shifting, turning from excitement to unease. The audience began to murmur, sensing that something was amiss. Then came the moment that would forever be etched in the memories of everyone who was there. The grand finale, the trust glide. Sophie and Aries swimming side by side, a symbol of their bond, their partnership. But as Sophie gave the signal, Aries didn't respond. Instead, she turned abruptly, her body tensing, her eyes widening with what Sophie could only describe as panic. A chilling premonition washed over her. This wasn't the Aries she knew. What happened next unfolded in a blur of chaos and terror. Aries lunged, not with playful grace, but with desperate force. Her body twisted in the air, her usual elegance, replaced by a frantic energy. The splash was deafening. Before Sophie could react, Aries' rostrum struck her hard. Then, the unimaginable, Aries clamped onto Sophie's arm and dragged her into the depths of the tank. Screams erupted from the audience. The cheerful music screeched to a halt. The carefully orchestrated performance descended into a nightmare. Below the surface, Sophie fought for her life, kicking, struggling, trying to regain control. But Aries was unresponsive, driven by something primal and uncontrollable. The water churned with blood and confusion. Trainers rushed to the edge of the pool, shouting commands, deploying safety measures. But nothing could penetrate Aries' frenzy. The minutes stretched into an eternity. The audience watched in horror, their faces contorted with disbelief and fear. Children cried, parents shielded their eyes, and the illusion of the ocean dream shattered into a million pieces. Finally, Aries surfaced, releasing Sophie's limp body. The sight was devastating. Sophie floated motionless, her wetsuit torn, her face pale and lifeless. Rescue teams hauled her out of the water, desperately administering CPR, but it was too late. Sophie Lane was gone. The park plunged into lockdown. Performances were cancelled. The festive atmosphere evaporated, replaced by a chilling silence. The news spread like wildfire. Trainer killed in Dolphin show, the headlines screamed. The carefully crafted image of Coral Vista Marine Park lay in ruins. In the immediate aftermath, the park attempted to control the narrative. A press conference was hastily arranged, where Victor Hale delivered a carefully worded statement expressing condolences and promising a thorough investigation. But the truth, like the tide, always finds its way to the surface. Whispers began to circulate among the staff. Sophie's concerns about Aries' well-being, her pleas for rest, her opposition to the stimulant injection. Then came the leak. Security footage showing Victor ordering the injection against Sophie's protests. The public outrage was immediate and fierce. Social media exploded with calls for justice, demanding accountability for Sophie's death and freedom for Aries. Protests erupted outside the park gates. Former trainers spoke out, revealing a pattern of negligence and disregard for animal welfare. Animal rights organizations demanded a full investigation. The carefully constructed facade of Coral Vista Marine Park crumbled under the weight of public scrutiny and mounting evidence of wrongdoing. And in the center of it all, Aries floated alone in her tank, refusing to eat, unresponsive to her handlers. The once celebrated performer was now a symbol of tragedy, a living testament to the cost of exploitation and the consequences of ignoring the whispers of nature. The question hung heavy in the air. Was this an accident, or was it the inevitable result of a system that valued profit over compassion, spectacle over well-being? The answer, it seemed, was beginning to emerge, demanding a reckoning that would forever change the landscape of marine animal entertainment. The aftermath of Sophie's death sent shockwaves far beyond the gates of Coral Vista Marine Park. The initial grief quickly morphed into a potent cocktail of public outrage and demands for accountability. Social media became a battleground. #JusticeForce. Sophie trended for days, a digital memorial fueled by grief, anger, and a growing sense of unease. The carefully constructed illusion of harmonious human-animal interaction, so meticulously crafted by the marine park, shattered into a million pieces. The public wasn't just mourning Sophie, they were questioning the entire system that had led to her death. Comment sections overflowed with personal anecdotes, tales of whispered concerns ignored, of trainers burned out and disillusioned, of animals exhibiting signs of distress dismissed as mere stubbornness. People began sharing videos and images, dissecting performances frame by frame, searching for evidence of the strain, the fatigue, the silent pleas for respite that had been overlooked for so long. The investigations started swiftly, and they were relentless. The Department of Wildlife Welfare launched an immediate inquiry, combing through Coral Vista's records with a fine-tooth comb. They interviewed staff, past and present, uncovering a pattern of cost-cutting measures ignored, safety protocols, and a culture of prioritizing profit over animal welfare. The incriminating evidence mounted rapidly. Sophie's meticulously documented reports, previously dismissed as overzealousness, were now scrutinized as prophetic warnings. The veterinary records revealed a disturbing reliance on stimulants and anti-anxiety medications to mask underlying health issues. And of course, there was the security footage, the silent, damning testament to Victor Hale's callous disregard for Aries' well-being and Sophie's desperate plea. The legal repercussions were swift and severe. Victor Hale was not only fired, but faced criminal charges of negligence and animal endangerment. Other members of the park's management team were implicated in the cover-up and faced disciplinary action. Coral Vista itself was hit with a slew of violations and hefty fines. Their permits were suspended, effectively shutting down all animal performances. But the legal battles were only part of the story. The real reckoning was happening in the court of public opinion. Animal welfare organizations, emboldened by the public's support, launched boycotts and protests. Celebrities and influencers joined the chorus, amplifying the message to millions. Travel agencies stopped promoting Coral Vista as a tourist destination. Sponsors withdrew their support. The park, once a thriving symbol of entertainment, became a pariah and what of Aries. After weeks of observation and evaluation, a decision was made to relocate her to a coastal sanctuary. This wasn't just a bigger tank. It was a carefully designed environment that mimicked her natural habitat as closely as possible. No more flashing lights, no more booming music, no more forced interactions. Just the rhythm of the ocean, the company of other dolphins, and the freedom to simply be. The relocation process was carefully orchestrated, prioritizing Aries' well-being at every step. Experts in marine mammal behavior oversaw the move, ensuring that she was as comfortable and stress-free as possible. The public followed her journey with bated breath. their hopes pinned on her recovery and rehabilitation. The sanctuary offered Aries a chance at a new life, a life free from the pressures of performance. But it also served as a stark reminder of the years she had spent in captivity, the years of forced performances, the years of suppressed instincts. Would she ever fully recover from the trauma? Would she ever truly reconnect with her wild self? Sophie's death forced a long overdue conversation about the ethics of keeping intelligent, sentient animals in captivity for entertainment. The argument for conservation and education, often cited as justification for marine parks, came under intense scrutiny. Were these benefits truly outweighing the inherent suffering and limitations imposed on the animals? The debate raged on, fueled by scientific studies, ethical arguments, and personal stories. Some argued that properly managed marine parks could play a valuable role in educating the public and inspiring conservation efforts. Others insisted that no amount of education could justify the confinement and exploitation of animals. The tragic events at Coral Vista served as a catalyst for change. Legislators introduced new laws and regulations aimed at strengthening animal welfare standards and increasing oversight of marine parks. Animal welfare organizations launched public awareness campaigns, educating consumers about the ethical implications of supporting animal entertainment. The future of marine parks remained uncertain. Some facilities embraced reform, phasing out controversial performances and focusing on conservation and rehabilitation efforts. Others resisted change, clinging to outdated practices and facing increasing public pressure. But one thing was clear: Sophie Lane's death had changed the landscape forever. Her sacrifice had sparked a movement dedicated to protecting animals and ensuring that their voices, once silenced by the allure of spectacle, would finally be heard. The ripple effects of that tragedy continue to spread, challenging us to reconsider our relationship with the natural world and to strive for a future where compassion and respect prevail over exploitation and indifference. Aries, swimming free, became a symbol of that hope, a testament to the enduring power of empathy and the unwavering pursuit of a more just world for all creatures.